All the news from the men's and women's Amstel Gold Race, plus the last stages of the Izulia Basque Country, all with video. Eddy Planckaert on Remco Evenepoel top story. Rider news, Wout van Aert sad Sunday, new Canadian records, Patrick Lefevere on Remco Evenepoel, no Roubaix for Peter Sagan and Taylor Phinney talks doping. Doping news, David Lappartient sees fewer cases. Team news, AG2R Citroën to Paris-Camembert, teams for Eschborn-Frankfurt, free live streaming of American Criterium Cup races, and third season of the Movistar series on Netflix. Stop the war in Ukraine. Top story, Eddy Planckaert on Remco Evenepoel. Eddy Planckaert may not be so involved in cycling these days, but he still has his opinions. The former winner of the Tour of Flanders sees Remco Evenepoel as a great rider, but not someone who will win the Giro or Tour. Evenepoel will always be second, fourth or fifth. The Belgian thinks there will always be someone better than Remco. That is Evenepoel's misery, explains Planckaert. Hopefully he wins Liège-Bastogne-Liège, because that is a race that suits him. But yes, Pogacar is also participating. Cycling is about winning. For Evenepoel it will always be something. He is still young, or is having a bad day. He still rode everyone off the day before. Pogacar, who is now in power, is not having bad days. A rider who has to win the Giro, Tour or Vuelta should not have a bad day. The Belgian does not see a great future in the Grand Tours for Evenepoel. What he does see a future in, time trials and smaller stage races. Hopefully he will become world champion, and Olympic time trial champion again. But he will never win the Tour de France and the Giro d'Italia. Say I said it, he told Het Lot St. News. But Planckaert wouldn't be Planckaert if he didn't have a but. In the Basque Country, he came second after Primo Roglic, while Roglic is worn out, so to speak. Eddy Planckaert. Amstel Gold Race Men 2022. The 2022 Amstel Gold Race was won by Michael Kwiatkowski. After a race of over 254 kilometers, the Ineos Grenadiers rider was first over the finish line, although a photo finish had to be used split the pole, and second placed Benoît Cosnefroy. Tiesj Benoît finished in third place. Mathieu van der Poel took fourth. A six-man break formed early. Ide Schelling, Emils Liepins, Owen Doel, Johan Jacobs, Aaron van Pauk and Luca Rostelli. Rostelli's teammate, Davide Gabbero, was also there but dropped back to the peloton. The six got about a 5-minute lead on the peloton, where Alpecin-Fenix, Ineos Grenadiers and UAE Team Emirates took the lead. Those teams were working for Mathieu van der Poel, Tom Pidcock and Mark Hirschi. The gap to the leading group closed down as the final approached. Victor Campenaerts and Nathan van Hooijdonk managed to cross to the leaders just before the Cauberg at 90 kilometers from the finish, to put 7 men in the lead as Rostelli had been dropped. Florian Sénécal also tried to cross to the leading group, but the quick-step Alpha Vinyl Frenchman was pulled in by Alpecin-Fenix. By this point the break had less than 1 minute on the leading group. In the peloton, the nervousness was high, and that led to crashes of Andrea Bagioli, Anthony Turgis and Jack Haig and others. After the Loeberg, Van Hooijdonk, Jacobs, Van Pauk, Doel and Liepins remained in the lead. As the first attacks came in the peloton, but the race really opened up the next time on the Gulperbergweg. Tim Wellens and Christophe Laporte didn't get away, but the thinned-out peloton got even closer to the leading group on the Kruisberg. Van Hooijdonk held out the longest, but he was caught with 45 kilometers from the finish. On the Iserbosweg and the Fromberg, the Ineos train was impressively strong, especially Ben Turner who put in a lot of work. The peloton by now was only 40 men going into the final hour. On the Kuttenberg a selection followed after the acceleration of first Pidcock and later Tiesj Benoît. Van der Poel looked to have a moment of weakness, but was still in the front group. Pidcock, Benoît, Van der Poel, Michael Kwiatkowski, Michael Matthews, Dylan Tierns, Kasper Asgreen, Benoît Cosnefroy, Mark Hirschi, Stefan Koen and Alexander Kamp formed the group of favorites in the run-up to the last climb of the Cauberg. The first chase group included Wellens, Valentin Madouas and Warren Barguil, but also riders of Bahrain Victorious and UAE Team Emirates who would slow the chase. The gap was about 20 seconds. On the Cauberg the leading group was calm, but just after the top it was all action. Kwiatkowski hoped to take advantage of also having Pidcock for Ineos Grenadiers in the group with 21 kilometers to go to the finish. The Pole rode away solo, as the others hesitated behind. On the Gio-Lemmerberg, Cosnefroy crossed to Kwiatkowski in one move, but the pursuers were very close. Tierns tried to cross in the narrow Limburg roads on his own, but he could not get to the Kwiatkowski-Cosnefroy tandem. With a lead of 25 seconds, the front riders started the last climb of the day, the Bemellerberg. At the start of the final 5 kilometers the leaders only had 20 seconds, but the chase just couldn't get organized. Pidcock was jumping on all the attacks to protect his teammate. A last effort by Van der Poel to close the gap was of little use. Cosnefroy and Kwiatkowski would sprint for the win. The Frenchman started early, but the Pole came alongside in the end. The difference was narrow, and the race jury had to look at the finish photo. First Cosnefroy was declared the winner, but after closer inspection, the win went to Kwiatkowski. He had placed his jump at the right time to win his second Amstel Gold race. TJ Benoot gave Jumbo-Visma third place due to a late attack from the chase group. Mathieu van der Poel sprinted to fourth place. See the full PES Amstel race report, with more photos here. 2022 Amstel Gold winner, Michael Kwiatkowski. It was a very tough finish and sprint. I was super confident I could win. But the last 50 meters were super tough as I think Cosnefroy was still accelerating when I was by the side of him. For me it was all about the win because Tom was in the front group, it was all about winning this race as I was in the front move. In the attack, Cosnefroy did most of the work as I was sure with Tom in the group we could win the race in different ways, and it wasn't up to me to maintain the gap. I was only there to win the race. It was very confusing after the race. I was super sad in the first place, as today was all about the win. I learned from last year that you have to wait for the euphoria. I love this race. I've had a lot of bad luck getting COVID and flu, being sick and unable to follow my race program, so to be here and win Amstel Gold race is an incredible feeling. I've proved to myself that I have to be patient and sooner or later the victory will come, and I will be able to perform. It was difficult to get back on track, but here I am. Second, Benoit Cosnefroy AG2R Citroën, it's a nice podium even if I would have preferred to win. Kwiatkowski was faster than me in the sprint. It happened little by little. We can be collectively proud of this podium. I felt good and the goal was to be in the front. I felt during the race that I was one of the strongest. In the final, I did a lot of the work. There are 3 Ardennes races left and the momentum is good. Third, TJ Benoot, the final was difficult with those 2 men from Ineos Grenadiers. I forced the breakout a bit myself on the Kottenberg. I felt good until there, but then it was difficult with those 2 men from Ineos Grenadiers. Matthew was also a bit less than last week, less than expected. I missed a corner, a bit down at the Gio-Lemmerberg. I'm also bringing Cosnefroy back, right, when I was on the limit. Third place was the highest achievable in this final. I certainly wanted to go for the highest attainable, then third is nice. Christoph fell today, otherwise he might not have been too bad. But now I was alone. That's part of the race. I was second in Dwars door Villon-de-Rennes and third here. After this I do the Flèche Wallonnée and Liège-Bastogne-Liège, which suit me better than Paris-Roubaix. I am now going to train for a week in the south of France. I ride the Walloon Arrow and Liège together with Primo Roglic and Jonas Vingegaard, so another part of the team. Fourth, Mathieu van der Poel. I felt okay, but I wasn't good enough to react to everything. It was a very difficult day. The Amstel is one of the most difficult races out there. Racing started early again. But even when Ineos checked, the climbs hurt anyway. The new loop was okay. The jostling and danger in the run-up to the Kruisberg has now been removed. The final now started a little bit earlier, on the Gulperberg. Still, we worked together quite well behind. Because of the number of Ineos Grenadiers, I knew it was going to be difficult and it showed. This place on the calendar was not bad. After Paris-Roubaix you were really broken, that will not be the case now.